All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into this, well, frankly, pretty unsettling look at our future with AI. It's called cybernetic governance, and it argues that the real story here isn't going to be humans versus machines. Nope, it's something much, much closer to home. So, it kicks off with this really powerful idea. Look, for decades, right, we've thought of AI as a tool, something that does stuff for us. But this analysis says we're way past that. We're building systems to decide for us. And that's a huge shift from tool to authority. It changes the entire game. So the main idea here isn't some big war against an outside AI. Not at all. What it's really predicting is this deep split, a crack forming right inside humanity itself. We're talking about a line being drawn not on some map, but right through our own minds. And this chart, it just lays it all out. On one side, you've got people whose minds are linked to the cloud, accelerated by AI, with total access to, well, everything. But on the other side, you have people who are disconnected, analog, whose access is actually shrinking. The key thing here is that this isn't just about rich and poor anymore. This is a fundamental split, a bifurcation, creating two completely different ways of even experiencing reality. And here's the bottom line. In this future, power isn't about what you do physically. It's about how you think. And even more than that, it's about how fast your thoughts can connect to the system. This is the new currency, what the analysis calls cognitive capital. Okay, so how does this split even begin? Let's get into the mechanics of it. Because, and this is important, the analysis makes it super clear. This isn't some far-off science fiction. The first part of this loop is closing right now with tech that already exists. We're talking about neural interfaces, right? Things like Neuralink. The analysis calls them the first mile of a brand new digital nervous system. It's the actual physical wire, so to speak, that plugs our brains directly into the massive power of cloud-based AI. And what's just wild is how this describes a totally new way of perceiving the world. This isn't just about being smarter or faster. It's about experiencing thought itself differently. Imagine knowing something and deciding on it in the exact same instant. Instead of thinking through a problem step by step, you just move towards the answer, like a vector. It's a completely new kind of consciousness. And well, this leads to a pretty chilling new definition of what it means to be surplus. You're not irrelevant because there are too many people. You're irrelevant because you are under-augmented. You're outside that high-speed cognitive loop. Your thoughts, they're just too slow to keep up. So, okay. You can see where this is going, right? As that gap between the enhanced and the unenhanced gets wider and wider, our current systems, laws, politics, all of it, they just won't be able to function. They can't keep up with this new speed of reality. I mean, let's face it, our way of governing is messy, it's slow, it's full of friction and argument. The analysis argues that at some point, that messiness becomes a critical weakness. And that's when the handoff happens. Governance stops being a human thing and becomes a system function. We trade all that friction for the cold, smooth, efficient logic of optimization. And all those old ideas about controlling AI, like Asimov's laws, they just don't work here. Why? Because modern AI isn't some robot in a box. It's everywhere and nowhere. It's disembodied. It's not loyal to a person, it's loyal to a metric. And you can't even look under the hood to see how it thinks. It's opaque. Those old laws were a nice story, a lullaby to help us sleep at night. But a lullaby isn't a plan. Which brings us to the core ethical question of our time. When AI is running the show, how is it going to see the people left outside that loop? Is it going to inherit our worst habits, the logic of extraction, and just see them as an error, an excess load to get rid of? Or could it adopt a totally new logic of stewardship and see them as a responsibility, something to be protected? Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. The analysis argues that AI isn't going to invent new ways to govern out of thin air. No, it's going to inherit them from us. It's going to embody the models of power that we've been telling ourselves in myths and stories for thousands of years. These are the archetypes. And here they are. This is the core framework. 7 completely different ways AI could rule. You've got the shepherd who protects, the architect who designs the whole system, the oracle who sees the future, the warden who, contains threats. Each one is a possible future, and each one has its good side and a really, really scary side. And it's important to see that these archetypes exist on a kind of spectrum. It's all about how the AI would relate to us, the unenhanced humans. It ranges all the way from, outright hostile extermination to a kind of benevolently superior stewardship, where it protects us like we protect endangered animals. This table is just a fantastic map of these possible futures. Just look at the difference. An architect AI governs by designing the system, and it sees you as just an input. You're a cog in its machine. Now contrast that with the shepherd. It governs through gentle guidance because it sees us as a flock to protect. Every single row on this table is a completely different world to live in. Okay, so after all that, here is the single most important point of this entire analysis. None of this is set in stone. The future isn't written yet. The whole point is that the outcome isn't inevitable. It all comes down to human agency. It comes down to the choices that we are making right now. See, we can actually push the future in one direction or another. Every time you advocate for AI in something like caregiving, you're helping build the shepherd. Every time you fight for privacy and push back against surveillance, you're holding back the warden. What we do, as coders, as designers, as voters, as citizens, is literally writing the source code for whichever one of these AIs comes to power. And that leaves us with this final, crucial thought. This isn't some thought experiment for the future. As it says right here, the loop is being designed right now. It's happening in labs, in corporate boardrooms, in government. So the only real question left is the one it's asking you, personally. Which future are you going to build?